We're back, Fantasy Football Weekend here on the Fantasy Sports Network. Tony Cincotta, Gregg Sussman now joined by Chris Vaccaro, NFFC Hall of Famer Chris Vaccaro, who is participating today in the Fantasy Cup, which is now right in front of us, Tony. How about that?
That's amazing to me that we have the Fantasy Cup here, and it's going to be interesting if we have to protect it, if anybody's going to come try to steal it because they don't feel like they're capable of winning it.
Obvious question, can we put beer in said cup?
No, we can't drink the beer before the winner gets it. I think that's up to the winner. I mean, what if the winner is more of a wine person?
We'll clean it out. You think we're going to leave any beer in here?
I ain't cleaning anything out. I don't know who's going to clean it out. Ain't going to be me.
You don't want to clean out the dog bowl?
No. Chris Vaccaro, of course, National Fantasy Football Championship Hall of Famer. This is Gregg. This is what I have a hard time believing.
Okay.
This is a guy that's won $100,000 a couple times playing fantasy football.
Right.
He's going to come to a draft with no money on the line,
right,
and he's going to put in his best effort. I don't believe it.
Well, let's ask Chris. He's sitting right here.
If I'm here to win, guys. That's the way it is. If I'm here to win.
So,
and,
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
right. So you're right. You're not coming here just all right. You're here. You're gonna take your time. You'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. You're coming to win. You're gonna put your best foot forward.
Absolutely.
Exactly,
I'm not showing up to lose here, Tony.
And I'm the naive
so
one.
I don't care if there's no money on the line. There's pride on the line, and I'm playing for pride today.
Yeah, you're playing for pride, but you're also playing for this gorgeous cup that's in front of us.
And of course, the beautiful cup more than anything. Absolutely.
You have the second pick overall.
I just found that out recently, a little while
seconds
ago.
ago.
Here I am. I'm thinking of draft strategies in my head as we go.
So what is the strategy that comes to mind? Who do you want it to overall?
Listen, I mean, obviously, I'm going to take either Antonio Brown or Julio Jones. Those are my two favorite wide receivers. They're at the top of my board this year. Obviously, I'll be getting one of them. Maybe I'll have a choice of both of them, depending on whoever is drafting first. But I'll start off what I usually do. I'll start off at the wide receiver position.
Now, what makes you comfortable for starting out at the wide receiver position rather than the running backs? Because traditionally, not necessarily PPR leagues, but traditionally you have the running backs. Adrian Peterson, Eddie Lacy, Jamal Charles, Marshawn Lynch, Le'Veon Bell. These guys are your top five in traditional formats. Here, you said, I'm going to do what I normally do, which is a wide receiver. You're the Hall of Famer. Why is that the right thing to do?
That's the way I'm the most comfortable drafting. I like to build off of my big-time wide receivers, and I see that there's a lot of value, guys that I like in the middle rounds at the running back position this year, where I'm more as comfortable as if I was to start with running backs this year and then find receivers that I really love in the mid-range. So I'm comfortable going wide receiver heavy, and that's probably what I'll do today.
One of the things that fascinates me is you part of the National Fantasy Football Championship. There's a lot of guys over there on the message boards that think, why are these guys on radio? Why are these guys on TV? I know more than them. I should be the guy on radio and TV. So do you feel like you have to represent them and have a good showing against these celebrities that are in these drafts?
There's a little bit of pressure. There's a little bit of pressure. I don't want to come here and at the end of the year I'm 0-13 or something and I'm looking bad. So that's what I said earlier. I'm not here just to show up and draft whoever. I'm here to win.
Tony Cincotta, Chris Vaccaro, Gregg Sussman hanging out Fantasy Football Weekend here at Monmouth Park. Chris, I got to go back to something you said a moment ago. Sure. You're comfortable taking the wide receiver early because you like some of these mid-range running backs. I don't know a single mid-range running back that I like. So could you please give me some advice?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of mid-round guys. How can I say it? There are guys in that 4 through 6 round range. There's about a dozen running backs going off the board in that area this year. They're in good situations. They're the lead backs on their teams, the Latavius Murrays, the Jonathan Stewarts, the Alfred Morrises. If Joe Randall wins that job, him as well. So there's guys you could build off of in that range. Those are a couple of guys that I'll be targeting today.
It's going to be interesting. You talk about the mid-range, and there's a couple of those guys that definitely interest me. Latavius Murray, I think, is a guy that could be underdrafted. If the Raiders actually take that next step and he's going to be in on 85% of the offensive plays, he's a guy that can definitely deliver there. Joseph Randall, another guy. If he can be in the play 75% of the time in Dallas offense, he's going to be there. But when we draft early, we like predictability, and that's with the wide receiver position now in the National Football League. Can we get predictability from those mid-tier running backs, and that's why we still see some of the guys saying, hey, you got to take running backs in the first round because there's no predictability in those mid-tier running backs.
Without a doubt, every guy that I just mentioned, they all come with question marks. But if they didn't come with question marks, they would be, first, second round picks. So they all come with question marks, but I'm more comfortable with these big-time wide receivers. They're more reliable, the top 12 off the board. If you could put two of them together early, they're more reliable. They're a little less injury-prone than running backs. You see a lot more running backs. Last year, for instance, if out of the top 10 running backs, 3 or 4 of them will bust or underperformed, whereas like the top 8, 10 wide receivers off the board, pretty much they all came through and gave the numbers that they were supposed to.
I know we're on the Fantasy Sports Network, of course, with Chris Vaccaro and Tony Cincotta. I'm Gregg Sussman, and on the Fantasy Sports Network, which is also known as the Pat Mayo Network, right? Pat Mayo doesn't like Mark Ingram. He hates this guy with a strong passion. And last year I got it. He always underwhelmed, but he performed really well last year. And this New Orleans team is a different New Orleans team without Jimmy Graham, without Kenny Stills. Obviously, Sproles has been gone for a couple of years now. It's a running offense now. You talked about these mid-round running backs you like. I see a lot of upside on Mark Ingram, guys.
That's another one. The Mark Ingram, the Frank Gores, they're going a little, before maybe third, fourth round range compared to the guys that I had mentioned. But a guy like Mark Ingram is in a perfect situation again. He performed well last year. He was banged up a little bit. But bring in a Max Unger at center.
Exactly.
And, they drafted a first-round running back as well. First-round offensive lineman, I'm sorry. They're going to build more around the run game. It's another guy to target. Absolutely.
Mark Ingram is a guy. You kill Pat Mayo, and he deserves to be killed.
I don't kill him. He's my buddy.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
He's my buddy. It's his network.
And I think it's overreaction, but I look at that Saints offense. He's a perfect example of a guy, though, 10 touchdowns, right? You could see him getting 10 touchdowns in round 4, round 5. That's the difference between winning the league and coming in 5th.
Absolutely. And once again,
I'm in.
Once again, if you get these guys, you don't need them to be superstar running backs like the Adrian Petersons if you build off the wide receiver position. So, if I get 2 monster wide receivers, I just need, if I get 8, 10 touchdowns out of a Mark Ingram in the 3rd, 4th round, that's what I'm looking for in terms of building a team. So,
Chris, I'm going to let you go prepare for your draft. I know you just found out you had second pick, so you go do your thing. Tony Cincotta, Gregg Sussman here at Monmouth Park Fantasy Football Weekend. We continue on after this.